It's now a great pleasure for me to introduce another very good and dear friend, Dr. Ahmed Abadi, who's the Secretary General of the Rabita Muhammadiyya des Ulama, the Mohammedan League of Scholars, which is the senior council of religious scholars established by His Majesty King Mohammed VI. He also heads the working group within the Strategic Dialogue on education and cultural issues. He previously served as a Director of Islamic Affairs in the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Bous, in Morocco, as well as a very successful academic career after his doctorate in teaching at the University of Qadi Ayad University in Marrakesh. He's studied also and taught at two universities as a Fulbright Scholar in Residence at DePaul University and my alma mater, the University of Chicago, regretfully for me, many years after I passed through those doors, so I didn't have the pleasure of having him in class, but it's a great pleasure to introduce a figure who really has done a great deal, not only for countering violent extremism on the religious field in Morocco, but really throughout Africa, and increasingly, though he's very modest about it, in the greater Middle East. Dr. Ahmed Abadi, please.
Thank you, everybody. It's such an honor to be here today to tackle this intricate subject, given the fact that the dynamics of the spreading of any given discourse have tremendously changed over the last years. So the dynamics are not anymore what they used to be. And now, the most rapid spread of violence and hatred we do witness is the one which is happening in the Middle East through Daesh. This is the way I like to call them. This movement tried to hijack four major things. The most important hijacked matter was religiosity itself. And the second matter was the dream of unity. The third matter was the dream of dignity. And the fourth matter was the dream of purity. The dream of purity started in the region back in 1900, when some strategic approaches led to the adoption of a new state in the region, which is the Saudi, which is also allied with Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab at the time. And the dream that was brandished at the time is purity, which gave the impression that things would be directed towards some venues of scholarship that would save the Muslim world from the scattered madhab issue. And this was adopted by everybody, and this became a dream. The dream that was then translated by Salafism and also adopted by movements in the region such as the Ansarus Sunnah in Egypt and other movements in the region. This dream of purity was not a Sunni specificity. It was also a Shi'i claim, because they also were claiming the bringing back of the religious practice to purity, which is the knowledge of the descendants of the Prophet. So then there was a new arena of fight. Everybody was claiming that they are the ones who would realize this purity. In 1924, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, and many countries in the region found themselves as orphans. And since decisions were taken in Asitana, Istanbul, Asitana at the time, every decision was made there. And it was sent through farmans, which are like circulars, that were received by the pashas in the region and then implemented. This dynamic disappeared all of a sudden. And people in the region found themselves in the situation of orphans. So the dynamic that was triggered is looking for a father again. Rebuild the Khilafah. without thinking about the ways to build and to rebuild, more precisely, this Khilafah. This was a dream of unity. This dream also was adopted by some other movements. The Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan Muslimin in Egypt, 1929, 26, and then 29, more officially, claimed that they will build up the unity in the region by rebuilding the Khilafah. Hizb Tahrir in the region as well. And this became also a dream in the region. The third dream was the dream of dignity. People were witnessing the wasting of the resources in the region without having any part, any share of that. This was what triggered many movements in the region, and the dream of unity was not a specificity of Islamists. It was also Pan-Arabism, because Pan-Arabism was given a new alternative of unity through rebuilding the larger Arab states in the region. And this dream was then spent, was then tackled in many other ways. I'm saying all this to say that Daesh now is trying to recollect all those energies, all those dreams, and brandish them as being theirs. Because people in the region were left with many disappointments. Those who brandished the slogans of unity did not realize it. Those who brandished the slogans of dignity did not realize it. Those who brandished the slogans of purity conducted the region to some very rigid comprehensions of the text, omitting the context. And this was an evidence for everybody in the region. Daesh transcended this by claiming that it is dealing with individuals. It is not selling out chimerious dreams anymore. You are unmarried, come to me. I'll marry you to the most pious and beautiful lady in the world. You are without a job, come to me, I'll make out of you the head of intelligence in Daesh. You are not educated enough, come to me, I'll make out of you a scholar, a true one, a pure one. So dreams of purity, dignity, and also unity were there offered, and Daesh is here to stay and to expand. This is how they would say it. They joined and made the junction with all this by approaching the communication matter by a very high proficiency. And now the true war is going on the fibers of internet, on the psyches. If we do not get this, this would mean simply that we did not get it. We are not fighting in the true arena. We are not raising the true issues. And this starts from deconstructing the discourse of Daesh, to understand why this discourse has all this impact on the recipients of this discourse. They've developed some repetitive items which they use as a rifle that they use to shoot the brains and the psyches. And it's very rapid and very efficient in the same time. One, they would raise the issue of the conspiracy, Occidental conspiracy to scatter the Muslim world. And we are here to overcome. We are here to realize the unity of the Muslim world. While the Occident is gathering, the United States of America, the European Union, the Benelux, they are scattering us. And our governors are not doing anything to fix it. So we will do it ourselves. Come and help us doing so. 2, colonialism. 3, the issue of Israel. 4, double standard. 5, the Iranian, Afghani, Burmese, Central African cocktail, name it. 6, the humiliation on the net and on the movies and media and so on. 7, the draining of wealth. 8, the value system infiltrations. We need to do something about that. And this is why when you witness their ways of recruiting, and especially when this recruitment is directed to some frustrated, angry, high testosterone young males, in the region, with all those disappointments, with all those angers that are internalized in themselves, they're very prone to respond to the appeal of sirens. And especially given the fact that there is some tangible state that pretends realizing the dreams of dignity, unity, and purity. If we do not tackle the content and deconstruct it, if we do not train people to build up the enzymes that will allow them to deconstruct this discourse, then the war, the battle, is lost in advance. And to do so, we need people who will not be just functionaries. We need people to be hosting in them some passion, to realize all the ugliness of the facts that are going on there. And this is why it needs some very specific engineering to build up curriculums and programs that would train efficient people. To give you just some very rapid statistics. In Egypt, you have 280,000 officials that are in the payroll and receiving public riyals, dinars, dirhams in the region. But if we do measure the efficiency, how high is this efficiency? In Saudi Arabia, you have 300,000. In the region, you would have armies of those officials. It is such a waste to not reconverse and to not rebuild capacities among those people. But to do so, we need to be anchored both in the text knowledges and context knowledges. If we just limit ourselves in the text, this will not do. If we do limit ourselves in the context, this definitely will not do. And we need the shaping of some very appealing alternative discourse that would definitely be there and present on the net to counter this narrative. This definitely cannot be done in an official manner only. It needs to go and dig for the roots. And this is why there is a crucial need to tackle the children dimension. I'm talking about video games. I'm talking about cartoons. I'm talking about some wonderful, colorful, joyful heroes, such as Spider-Man and Batman and name it. Isn't Stanley the one who said, with great powers come great responsibilities? So we need him and others who are having the know-how to come and help with those issues. I'm talking about colorful video games, not just with violent content in them. I'm talking also about the peers education dimension. Youth need to appropriate, to own the initiatives, not just to be dictated what to do. Youth are really bored with this very ancient style that we do suggest to them. Put in every and each time an adult face on the discourse. They don't buy it anymore. So we need to have some very empowered icons, youth people who would definitely own the initiatives and trigger some peers education and peers initiatives to be there and influence and efficient on the region. Also, the curriculums in the trainings. I'm talking about trainings of imams. I'm talking about the trainings of academics in Sharia knowledges. I'm talking about the training in the Sufi orders. I'm talking about the trainings in the other arenas that would consume a religious discourse, but this religious discourse needs to be dosed, needs to be definitely oriented to fix and solve the problems, not create problems. Which means that the religious discourse also need a cogitation effort. For this, we need champions. Definitely, we need dollars to do so. But dollars without proficiency would not definitely do. And this is why Morocco, when realizing that the problem is multidimensional and definitely looks like a puzzle. And each piece of the puzzle has its own characteristics. And we do not restrict ourselves from going as deep as we can to tackle each link of the chain of this large problem, to give proposals and solutions for each piece of the problem. So the Moroccan experience in this regard, as my predecessor and friend Mbarka Bouaida said, was very humble in its approach, but also very realistic. So we needed to take each piece on its own and then re-engineer it and start an initiative with the concern to bring together all those pieces, to free, at the end, the global image of the puzzle. And this was done under the leadership of His Majesty, who happens to be the Commander of the Faithful. By the way, the Commander of the Faithful in Morocco does not include Muslims only, because Morocco has also Jewish citizens, and they are there. We are having a Christian presence, and we are dealing with it in an open way. We are trying to be as inclusive as we can, because the wisdom of religiosity at the end is not a specificity of one religion, because this approach of mutual recognition is very crucial to respect and to consider. The Commandant of the Faithful ensures the coherence between all those links of the chain, the pieces of the puzzle. So we have choices, and those choices are three choices, major ones. The choice of the ritual. It's Malikit because it joins and makes the junction between text and context. The dogm, which is Ash'ari, this makes the junction between text and reason. And third, spirituality, Junaydid spirituality, Junaydid Sufism, which makes the junction between text and spirituality. Those choices were very successful at the time, because they influenced the region, sub-Saharan Africa, but also the Middle East region, because the Sufi orders that were raised in Morocco spread out in the region. And this is what conserves the very vibrant relationship of Morocco with sub-Saharan Africa, because they share those three choices. And then, institutions-wise, we have 5 dimensions, along with the Commandant of the Faithful. We have the High Council of Scholars, which ensures proximity with citizens and ensures a permanent training for the imams. We do gather the officials, 50,000 of them, twice a month, to talk with them, to discuss with them. This costs definitely dollars, but I do embrace the opinion that says it's worthy. Then it tackles the fatwas. And in Morocco, we do differentiate between fatwa and irshad. Irshad is talking about the prayer, fasting, and pilgrimage. This is in the books, and you are just bringing it up again. But fatwa is something which is new and requires ijtihad. And if it is not governed in a dosed manner, this may generate some chaos out there. So this is the first dimension besides the Commandant of the Faithful. The second dimension is cogitation and reflection and research. This is ensured by the institution I have the honor to moderate, which is the Rabita Muhammadiyya of Scholars. We have 15 centers of research and 5 special units that do research in specific domains such as addiction, such as combating violence, extremism, and so on. And peers education and producing cartoons. We're not just claiming we're trying to do some tangible and some factual deliverables. The third dimension would be the training of scholars and imams. I'm talking about Al-Qarawiyyin University. I'm talking about Dar al-Hadith. I'm talking about the new center of training imams. And I'm talking about building capacities in those domains. The fourth dimension would be the Sufi orders, because there is a risk for us in Morocco and in the region of some infiltrations that would have a political nature, but would use the proximity in the approach of the respect of descendants of the Prophet that the Sufi orders do to infiltrate some other dimensions of Shi'ism or pro-Shi'ism in the region, which would definitely disturb the equilibrium in the region. I am with the opinion that says that there should be some mutual respect between those branches of Islam and some mutual recognition between those branches of Islam, but with the total respect of the specificities of each one of them. The last but not least dimension would be the dimension of trying to ensure this coherence and harmony between those components. And this is the major role of the Commandant of the Faithful. This is what His Majesty does and directs to be done in the country. We are not in the status that we could declare that we crossed the Rubicon yet. But what we can claim is that we are tackling it. We are aware, as my friend Deputy Minister Barka Waida said, that this is quite intricate and amalgamated matter, but we are confident that we shall overcome. Thank you for your attention.